So I really can't resist when I get on a roll and I have interesting things to talk about. I'm just going to talk at you, and you can hopefully tell me which of these videos you're liking more, and I can do more of those. But I was in Quora again, and there was a question from Dorothy Sciortino, a small business owner. She's answering the question, what are some alarming things a narcissist is capable of that others aren't? Um, so she says some of the things. So narcissists don't love their own children. Um, I can imagine that's true. I'm not sure. I have a son. I'm not a narcissist, so um, maybe people would confuse me with one sometimes, but I'm not, because I don't take control of people and then abuse them. I don't, I may have a certain amount of power over some things, but I'm not actually trying to take control and have power over someone to make them afraid of me. My goal isn't to make them scared of me. I think people should have respect for each other and treat each other respectfully, but that's, very different to just thinking that people should be scared and should be afraid of me, because what fun is that? I think it is fun for these characters, though. They do seem to enjoy that. Kind of like they want to be like a baddie, like from a James Bond movie or something. They think that's pretty cool. I thought it would be cooler to be the James Bond going after these kind of baddie people. That's what I always thought would be better, and I've always tried to associate with people who wanted to be on that sort of same wavelength, at least. It could be argued that some of these Austin Powers, James Bond people are, they're doing things for the British and or Americans, like with the CIA, Felix Leiter and stuff, and maybe they are baddies because they are doing a lot of. Well, it depends on your perspective. Um, if they are good, but in the story they are kind of the good people, kind of mixed. I think a lot of people are mixed. They're a mixture of good and bad, but some people are really full on bad, and you don't always realize it straight away. Um, anyway, so generally speaking, Dorothy says that they don't love their own children. I believe that's probably the case because a lot of the time, like, I had issues with dysfunctional family. I know all about that. But as I've grown up and I've had a son, and I love him to bits and I treat him very well. And I don't take out my frustrations on my child. So uh, yeah, but some people do. You see, some people do, and that is a concern to me. I haven't witnessed this myself, but I can imagine it would be the case. Um, so she says they only associate with the children to use them so that the kids enhance the image of them, or else destroy the other parent. So this lady Dorothy, this had happened to her in both ways. So I can very much imagine that to be the case. So yeah, really not great. But of course, narcissists are people, so everyone's different. Um, but anyway, the second point she says, Dorothy says, they don't hesitate to destroy human beings, even their own children. They abuse their own children in the same way as they do their partners or spouses. Sounds pretty likely to me. So love is something you'll never see in your relationship. Hell is something that becomes familiar every single day. Okay, yeah, I mean, I never had a full on narcissist as a girlfriend long term, so I don't really know about this. I've encountered narcissist women, before, but I was never full on with a girlfriend or in a long-term relationship with one. But I can imagine that would not be good. Um, so, and the fourth point, if you cause an injury to a narcissist, get ready, shield and all, as you'll face a lifetime vendetta, even if this means the narcissist is destroying himself in the process. This seems very, why you wonder why people are like this. But they're sort of, some people are very fragile and very easily offended by anything you do. So you can imagine that that could happen. I haven't witnessed it, but I've heard a lot of stories about people who that's happened to. Um, so that they're obviously very nasty. There are some very, very nasty people around who just cannot let things go and let people get on with their lives and set out to ruin their lives and ruin their own lives in the process. And that is very, very sad for all concerned. So if someone close to them dies, witness the greatest show on earth, but it's all fake. They feel nothing, just the hollow evil being that only a narc can be. Again, yeah, people like that, they are very fake, so I can imagine that would be true. Um, if you want to give extreme pleasure to your narcissist, go ahead with self-destruction. If you commit suicide, it's just because you're a weak person, and guess what? Your family cannot sue him. Again, I haven't committed suicide from knowing someone like this. But again, I can imagine that's the case because they're out. They don't like you. They want to cause you harm, and they want you gone. So yeah, that is a worry, and just sad, really, just sad that there are people like this. Because most of the time, I mean, a lot of the time, these people have they've been in friendly or they've been in relationships with people, and there are people who are setting out to destroy that person, and they haven't done anything. So what I'm hoping is that people like this, with Dorothy or whoever, they end up destroying themselves because they do deserve that. Especially, most of the time these people are not doing anything. They have this vendetta against people, and people aren't doing anything. Literally, they're just getting on with their lives, and these people are trying to bring them down and put them down, and it's really very, very sad. So if you want to give uh, sorry, I've just said that point. So, um, the narcissist envies and destroys his own children if they should ever become more successful than him. Again, can you think of anything more sad than a dad who is bothered about his own child being more successful than him? I know my father would have loved me to be more successful than he was. And I, for my son, would be very over the moon. I'd be overjoyed if he is more successful than I am. So yeah, I know that I'm not a narcissist for a lot of these things. I do have faults. I'm not a perfect man, but I'm not this kind of a destructive narcissist person. So makes the ideal cult leader. Yeah, I can definitely see this, and you have this sort of gang stalker mentality. I've witnessed that myself. So they do have this kind of cult and gang stalker vibe about them. They try and get these people have talked about this flying monkey stuff. I've witnessed that flying monkey thing, and I'm very aware of it, having experienced it myself. So that is a real thing, and the whole cult vibe. Everyone, as long as they're in the cult and they are sort of worshipping the the narc, they're okay. But as soon as there's anything like they don't, they maybe criticize them or say, hang about, what you're doing here, I don't appreciate what you're doing here. You're not, you're discarded straight away. You're not in the group anymore. and it can be a friendship, it can be obviously a relationship, but yeah, that is how that works. So and then in these relationship scenarios, they've kidnapped their own children sometimes, which I can't really fathom because I think the mother is key to the upbringing. Mother does a lot of the upbringing of a child, so I could never imagine doing that. Of course, if anyone kidnapped my child, I'd go after them with everything I had, and even as much to be, a vigilante. Because at the end of the day, if someone takes your child, then you have to do what you have to do to protect that child. So um, yeah, anyone who did that with me or with anyone I cared about would get a lot of repercussions for that. So yeah, if anyone was thinking about doing that to me, they really should consider what they're doing before they do that, because they would have to deal with me. And then, so yeah, it's a person who is devoid of anything positive, no positive emotions. They, it goes beyond sort of 9. There is literally no positive emotion there. It's dead. It's like they're an alien. Um, so you shouldn't, like, if you realize someone's like that, you just have to get away. You really just have to escape and not have anything to do with them. Um, but yeah, she says, if you find the above unbelievable, rest assured it's all true. I know that narcissists are different people, and there are different levels of narcissism. So some people, they're totally malignant, and it goes along like different levels of it, and some aren't necessarily dangerous, but you have to treat them like they are. So you have to keep your distance, is what I recommend as soon as you know that someone is like this. And you could it could take a long time. You might be involved as a so-called friend, but you find out later they don't actually have friends, not real friends, because they put themselves on a level above you. So you're never actually on an even keel friendship. They don't consider you as like a human being. So how can you possibly be a real friend or anything like that? So it is a different, very very different thing. So yeah, um, evil does exist. Yeah, evil exists and good exists, and people can be a mixture of good and evil and along a spectrum. So sometimes, I knew someone once who was always saying that people are on a spectrum, and was always analyzing what other people were along a spectrum. But he was the kind of guy who could never look in the mirror and say, yeah, well, but I am a narcissist, or I am a malignant narcissist. He would never actually say that. Um, but that's because they have no awareness, and they have no introspection. They think they're perfect, so they couldn't possibly ever have anything like that. So they just won't understand it. So it won't help you if you go to them and start saying, "Oh, you're this, that, and the other." Um, there are some people who've been able to become self-aware, but it's very very unlikely. And I've done this in other videos. I think on balance of probability, it's extremely unlikely, because people don't change. You can't fundamentally change people. According to current understanding, it's only very rare situations where people become self-aware and realize what they're doing wrong, and then are able to change themselves. But most people can't. So that is it. And you've just got to realize some people they're just bad. They're just bad people, and for whatever reason they had a bad childhood or whatever, but they weren't able to adapt and get better. They just don't get better, and they get worse over time. And eventually you sort of realize that, and then you sort of leave them behind. But that was an interesting one, I thought. And do trust yourself. If you are thinking that someone is doing these things, don't ignore it, and protect yourself. So if you like this video, please subscribe, click the bell, comment freely, and share it if you think someone else would like this kind of stuff. Okay, catch you in the next one. Bye.